Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. You made it to the end of the week. Isn't that exciting? It's going to be a long weekend, by the way. Remember, Monday is a public holiday. So if you are feeling exhausted after a busy year, and if 2024 hasn't yet delivered all the goods for you, then maybe Monday is your day. And it is called the Day of Reconciliation. I think it should be called the day of, like, for those people who have had enough of a year, it's like your day of enough. You can just do whatever you want that day. And then we've got a 4-day week next week and pretty much Christmas after that. Then it's downhill to the new year. And before you blink, it's 2025. So there we are. I've mapped out the next 3-4 weeks for you. And it looks fantastic. You can't be complaining about that, can you? So welcome to this morning. We have plenty to get to. We're going to be joined a little bit later on by Andre, the Hilarious Hypnotist, who was actually mentioned, funnily enough, when we had Kurt Darren in just the other day. And he said that they were in the army together or something. And he said Andre is just terrific, and they often see each other at like gigs where he's singing and Andre's performing, and it's a whole thing. So we thought we'd get him in, and he is in today. I don't know who we're going to hypnotize. We'll have to see. But Ben is probably unlikely to be hypnotized, and here he is.
Correct.
Ben Karpinski.
Hey, Gareth. It's nice to be in this new studio. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the wood. I like the textures.
We're getting better. We're getting better. Every day we're trying to make improvements. And certainly James and the crew are doing their damnedest behind the scenes. I know he gets a hard time in the comments section, but then everybody gets a hard time in the comments section.
Comment section's quite a rough place. Huh?
I know.
I was having this conversation with someone last night, and what do you liken it to in real life? Like Rosettenville on New Year's Day was
wow.
Was one of the things that came up. There's some real characters.
Rosettenville on New Year's Day.
There's some real characters in this thing.
Jesus. Well, I can see
as well, which
they're already on it. So somebody says here, what's the story of the gimmick GCS new look? That's Snipes. We're trying to find the right balance of stuff here, people. And since all of you are such fucking experts, I've hired you as my producers. What do you think? Anyway, the worst thing on ENCA is that clown of the 3 beanies, says Carl de Santos. Who is that guy? And why does he wear 3 beanies?
Carl, where did that come from?
Just out of nowhere.
We just blacked out for 5 minutes and there was a conversation I wasn't part of.
Did you roofie us and then suddenly bring that up out of nowhere?
Are we hypnotized already? He's talking about that Dan Corder guy.
Oh, is that his name?
That's the beanie guy, right?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how he would come up with conversation.
I don't know. I honestly can tell you I've never watched the show. I don't watch much TV, so I'm not a good person to ask about these things. So we'll see. Today's my first day in the comments section, says Andile Mahlangu. Well, listen, dude.
Welcome, Andile. Don't talk to anybody.
Yeah, for God's sake, don't fucking scratch at any itches that you got in the comments section. Just pretend everything's all right. Focus on walking forward and have your knife at the ready. Yeah. That's all I can tell you.
Andile, it's a bit like prison. Just look ahead, do what's required of you, and don't try make any friends, especially on the first day.
Oh, my God. All right. Please zoom in on Ben. We all know how the studio looks. Yeah, good point. I've said it before. I'll say it again. James is the Fikile Mbalula of the Gareth Cliff Show. Why doesn't Gareth get some of the comment section in the studio one day? Well, we have had a couple of people who are in the comment section as guests on the show, and they've actually been pretty good. So, yeah, that's not a bad suggestion. Don't worry. Not all your suggestions are terrible, but just remember, I don't care if you want something to happen or not. It's not up to you. It's up to me. All right. So lots to get into. We have so many things to talk about this morning because it's been a crazy year and a crazy week. And I know there are all these people doing these, like, give us the best and worst of 2024s. And the pressure's just too much.
It's huge. Far too much work.
There's so much that's happened in this year. I can't even remember what happened in January. It was so long ago. And people want me to summarize the year. I mean, you can ask ChatGPT to do that, and it'll do a way better job than me.
Oh, I can't remember pre-Olympics.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go through it now.
Right.
It's just that I think Olympics was just like that great blip in the middle of the year.
I love that.
And then
it was great.
I don't actually...
I got to give you credit, actually. You got me to pay attention to the Olympics. It's the only time my TV has been on this year. And I loved it.
Talking points. So many great talking points.
And you did do something that you love last weekend. You were at the Nedbank Golf Challenge.
Which was amazing. And I think next year I want to put a lot of effort into it, try to round up a lot more people. Because I take for granted that I live here. I'm from Cape Town. I've traveled this country extensively because I love it. I really do. But I take for granted there's people all over that have just actually never been to Sun City or they've never played that golf course.
Yeah.
It's not because they're destitute or they completely don't like traveling. It's just that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Everyone's lives are busy. But next year, I want to just get as many people to go and appreciate how great this event is. Like the DP World Tour goes around the world, hence the name. And they say year in, year out, it's the best hospitality experience in the world, on the planet. As in, when you go there as a guest or wherever you're going, they do it best. I guess the thing, because we're competing against the Saudi money, old European money. We're competing against so much, the Asians, and that golf tournament does what it does the best.
It's fantastic.
It's a great time.
And it's a great place to show off South Africa, but my God, it must have been hot. I mean, I was sweating like a pig this last weekend because I was working outside, and I've never been so hot. It's jumping in the pool every opportunity I got.
It's a bit melty. I don't want to get into like the sport aspect of it, but
no.
There's only 13 guys under par. The score never really got away. Normally, it was in the high teens. 5 under 1 this year because guys got to the back 9 and they were just
finished.
They were literally melting.
Yeah.
They were just hanging on. It was like watching an old school US Open, which was so fun. But this week's actually almost a better advertisement for the country. The Alfred Dunhill Leopard Creek.
This is very funny. Somebody here, Congo Chris, says, I'm surprised the producers are sober this morning. Wasn't it your year end last night? It was.
And a good one it was, Congo Chris.
Yeah, we had a big party. We went to this amazing dive bar called Smoking Kills.
It's a very authentic dive bar.
Real, huh?
Very authentic dive bar.
I mean, the owner even,
the woman with the lobe.
Yeah.
The hanging lobe.
And blue hair.
Yeah.
And like she owns the place and it's authentic from top to bottom. Like everything about it. There couldn't be anyone else in the world who could own that place.
Like the graffiti, the angst, the sort of the distance of the barman, like mentally, because they would like zone out, they'll come back. They would wear like this one guy like an old MTV shirt. Other guy looks like he was brought up on Jack Daniels. There wasn't like a uniform hairstyle in sight. It was like it was well cast. It was like perfectly put together.
Oh, that's great.
Like it was dingy, but you didn't think you were going to get Balhazier. It was like that fine line between the two.
Hugh says, yes, tell us what happened at the Real Network Christmas party. Well,
I can give you a quick breakdown. Open bar, tattoo parlor, basically.
Yeah, people were getting tattoos.
And then one of those like money booths where you go in and the fan goes on and then money pops up.
And people were grabbing cash in the money box.
Yeah, I'll give you just those 3 points there.
And then there was a prize giving and a few announcements, and then there was party DJs. But yeah, it seems like everyone except me and you got a tattoo.
Yeah, well, I'm not going
James, you get a tattoo? No, you didn't. Okay, so James is also in that category. Marv, you got one? Marv got a tattoo. What did you get? Oh, you got his daughter's name. That's sweet.
Marv was lurking around there for about 3 hours.
That's sweet.
Like, what are you doing,
Lurking
Marv?
Is such a terrible word.
He looked like a tattoo parlor perv. He was just walking around. Such an odd look because everything was red lights, right? So it looked very prostitute.
Oh, wow.
And then Marv was just in the corner. Like he knows what his daughter's name is. What was he doing there? Was he looking at other things? Strands of butterfly you might want to add. But I got there around 6:30. I left about just after 9. And there wasn't an idle pen anywhere.
No, it's busy the whole time.
Yeah. So I'd like to know this morning when they get to the office how many regret tattoos were there.
Oh, there are going to be a few. Sango says year-end functions, were there strippers? Not at this one, but I don't know why it is that at all these year-end functions, and it happens, big corporations, serious places like banks and insurance companies and places like that, people end up sleeping with colleagues. People end up drinking way too much and falling downstairs and stuff. It happens.
Well, you think about
and then you have to deal with that the next day at work.
But it's like a whole year of built-up potential sexual tension / angst. And then you get an opportunity where you're hammered. It's the end of the year. There's no inhibitions. You might have feelings for somebody.
Yeah.
I've hooked up with one person.
And that's where it comes out.
Party. I mean, it happens. It was a very long time ago. But it's a thing. I don't think it happened last night.
Was that 7-foot woman? That enormous. What was her name? I remember there was a very big woman at one point. Am I making that up? At one point of what? In your life, Ben?
No.
All right, so you need 4 people for grace digging. I don't know what that's all about, says Snipes. If there's no regret from a year-end party, then it wasn't a good New Year party, says Carl.
I think you gotta like your coworkers enough to get a little bit vulnerable and a bit loose with them, but not so much that you actually do end up hooking up with them.
Right.
Because then it's just going to create a weirdish dynamic.
Well, speaking of hooking up, do you remember we spoke last week about that girl, Lily something or another, who's going to sleep with 100 men?
Yes.
For her OnlyFans, and she was going to, she was some kind of hero, and she was going to do this, and she did, and it went predictably as well as something like that could. She had a bit of a breakdown when she was interviewed about it afterwards, because you can imagine it's going to go bad. It's going to be horrible.
But she was the one with all the terms and conditions. It's basically like 100 guys, 1 pump each, and we're good.
Yeah, they got 2 to 5 minutes each, apparently.
Oh, okay. That's changed then.
Anyway, she filmed it.
2 to 5. It's a lot of a difference.
Well, let me tell you, this is what she allowed.
1 minute. James said 1 minute.
Okay, no problem. Well,
either that or in 1 minute's time, something's happening on the show.
Bitcoin Butch said that we mustn't skip on her. Her next target is 1,000 men in 24 hours. But here's my problem, okay? So people have watched this clip, which I'll show you in a moment. And they are saying, oh, shame, she's the victim. Now, I don't understand this at all. Well, and it's like feminists are saying this. There are a bunch of women on social media who are going, oh, this is terrible. She is being exploited by those men. This doesn't make sense to me from any angle. I've tried to think about this in 100 different ways. Like I've literally gone about it like all those men did on Lily. Okay. And I cannot find the angle. I cannot find the position where it occurs to me at any stage that she is the victim. So let's just remember how this began. This is a girl who has an OnlyFans account online. She wants to have subscribers. She decided this is a good gimmick to do this. She came up with the idea, and now somehow she's the victim.
So what the feminists are probably bleating about is that the society that we have today encourages women to act like this.
No, that would be a nuanced approach. The feminists are being much more obvious about it. As far as they're concerned, the men are abusing her. Because,
but again, it's a useless argument because she wasn't forced into this.
Well,
no one basically said, "I'll give you $1 million and you got to do this."
That's it.
Those men didn't come together like surround her house and say, "Oi, yeah, all of us inside.
We're here from Pound Town to come and deliver the goods." No, it's hard to be sensible about this. All right, and I'm going to try to, because it's also hilariously stupid.
Yeah,
it just is. It's a stupid thing. It could only happen in the internet generation. It could only happen to someone who has something like an OnlyFans. This was not possible at any stage before, unless there was a porn company that did it, in which case you could accuse them of being abusers. Okay, so now, I think the big problem here is that Lily and all of these men have gone voluntarily about this, but the feminists actually don't believe that men and women are equal.
Well, the feminists don't actually want equality. Otherwise, they'd be called equalities.
No, they want the men in charge. This is the point. They actually secretly, and I know there are a lot of feminists, none of them listen to the show, but there are going to be some who will catch this clip somewhere on the internet and get upset.
And take it out of context.
And that's fine. And then they'll have a tantrum and they'll
rip out their blue hair.
Yeah, get all cross and anyway, the fact is that you actually do have different standards for men and women. Women are allowed to be free and do whatever they want and be equal and everything else, but no accountability or responsibility.
Yeah, always comes down to that.
So you will infantilize women even when they've made the decision themselves. That's what most feminists do. They expect the men to lead and to know better. And for a man to say, actually, you know what? Because let's face it, those men are as demoralized and embarrassed and probably will have regrets about what they've done here in just the same way Lily will.
Absolutely.
And there are 100 of them. I mean, I just don't want to imagine what guy number 99 or number 100 would even be there for. I have to tell you, there are got to be very few things on planet Earth that are more horrific than going at it, not because there's anything wrong with Lily, but because of what all those other guys have done there before you arrive. Imagine you draw number 100.
But imagine like the energy of that room, how weird it must feel.
Horrific.
How absolutely disgusting.
Horrific.
But Lily's chasing numbers, right? So it was 100, now it's 1,000.
Now she's going to go for 1,000. Here, watch the clip. Because here she does what, she's being interviewed by some guy. He's like a YouTube star. And then predictably, she has a little cry.
Minutes to do the deed was not for the weak. She admits in a video published December 7th.
It's not for the weak, girls. If I'm honest, it was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Like more intense than you thought it might?
Definitely.
Sorry.
Okay. Just take
1 minute.
In fact, Lily had to excuse herself to cry in another room shortly after performing the feat, saying that it was definitely more intense than she thought. She can be seen getting emotional while explaining that she constantly...
Okay, so either she's a really good actress, and I can accept that she probably is playing it up a little bit for the cameras, because that's part of the attention seeking that a lot of these people who are internet stars want. They just constantly want attention. They can't get enough.
Yeah.
100 dicks and still not enough attention.
It's a drug. So she's chasing
100 fucking dicks and she's still
chasing
not
100.
happy.
She's chasing 1,000. But the funny part of that equation is all because one man let her down. Her dad.
Probably.
So there's the equation.
There we go.
Back to the root. Stop chasing
1,000 dicks.
1,000 dicks. Just
if you're a dad of a daughter, just please don't let her turn into this.
Just make peace with the original dick in your life. Your dad was obviously terrible, but don't now just do this.
Oh, Mo Rabbit says, I watched the documentary. Yeah, sure you watched the documentary. He says, a cameraman gagged when entering the room from the smell, condoms and stuff everywhere.
That's the thing, yeah. I saw a used condom on a road the other day and I was freaked out. Like to go into a room.
It was just lying there on the road?
Yeah, that's my cautious. They infiltrate
my
area.
cautious on the street near your house. Yeah.
End of year for everyone, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bitcoin But says, I'd love to hear Auntie Ruda's opinion on this.
We should actually just get Ruda back just for hot topics.
I know.
So, Ruda, kilometers of cock. What's your take?
What's your take on this? I think that would be great. All right. There are a couple of things that we've got to talk about with the holidays coming up. And this is something that I have a personal story in because it must have been either just after varsity or just before I'd finished university. So there wasn't a lot of budget to go around, right? Student budget, going on holiday with a bunch of mates. And in fact, it was me and one of my friends and two girls who were going together. And we booked this place because this friend of mine had said his one work colleague had like a place at the coast and he would let us stay there and it would cost us only, I don't know, a couple of thousand rand, but it was cheap. And if we split it, it was even cheaper, right? So we get packed in the cars, we head down to the coast. This is in Durban, KZN coast. And we're all excited, for a holiday. As everybody, you get excited when you know that there's going to be a holiday around the corner. And maybe some people are already on holiday now. It's the best. And, you're going to have beautiful weather. And there's just all this cool stuff you can look forward to, parties and all the rest. Get there. Now, none of us had ever seen the place before. We get there.
This is like pre-internet Airbnb.
Yeah. There's no Airbnb. This is a long time ago. You just have to take someone's word for it. And he's like, no. My colleague says this place is amazing. Well, we got there and it was horrific. When you go into a place and the bathrooms are like brown from the 80s, everything's brown and it's dirty. It's a dirty, revolting place. Just everything was bad. There was mold growing on the walls. It smelt bad. There were like cockroaches running around.
Did you have your own stray dog though?
It was... Ben, there was everything short of a stray dog there. It was horrific. Now, you're stuck in this situation because what are you going to do? You're going to turn around and go all the way home?
So, and proximity to the actual beach?
Also, not great. So this guy was a bullshit artist of the first class. And we were all so disappointed. And we started phoning people we know, and maybe we can try and find some accommodation. And, it was before you could just book an Airbnb or a hotel or whatever else. So we would have to go somewhere else. Fortunately, we found a place that was miles away. It was probably better in every way. There's this long staircase up to the place, which if you're schlepping luggage all the way to the top is not fun. But we thought, well, at least we've got a place for the holidays. So all's well that ends well. But it reminded me of how many people have been scammed by these Airbnbs.
Oh, yeah.
And, they put up a picture, and then when you get there, it's nothing like the picture. You find out that it's not in the place that they said it was. You find out that it's 1 bedroom instead of 2. And some of this is really, really upsetting to people, not just because they're going to have their holiday spoiled, but also because they've been lied to and basically defrauded out of money.
Yeah.
And then I saw this ad and I thought this was brilliant, because this is precisely what I think a lot of people are going through. So I think this is for City Lodge, and I just got to give them props for this ad because it's brilliant. It illustrates very well what I'm trying to tell you.
And finally, this is the bedroom. Ta-da! Ladies, please enjoy your stay. And remember, if you need anything, and I mean anything, I'm literally next door.
Booked dodgy accommodation? Go to saveourstay.co.za to locate the closest City Lodge hotels at up to 30% off this summer. Ta-da!
I love that. So I've got Save Our Stay, SOS.coza, saveourstay.coza, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. That is a situation no one wants to end up in. Do you see those women's faces?
That was gold.
It's so great. So I love it. And well done to City Lodge. That's awesome stuff. Absolutely
you've
brilliant.
got to do that kind of stuff in advance as much as possible.
You got to do your research. Right.
And there's no such thing as a great deal, because supply, demand, everyone's trying to make cash.
Listen, you get what you pay for. If something looks cheap, it's going to be
cheap.
Right?
Yeah. And if you do know someone from work who has a place, also interrogate that person thoroughly.
Yeah, people are loving this ad. There's a place in Durban that's like this. Bentley on the beach stuffed us in a moldy room and ended up being a place for men to go and meet women that they paid for.
Oh, wow.
Bitcoin, but you really lucked out on that one. Was Lily from OnlyFans there? Is that where they filmed her video? Holy hell. A few minutes late, but I'm catching up. Good morning, all, says Super Juju. Okay, well, you're allowed to come late. It's not, we're not going to hold you to your 6 o'clock wake up time. Listen, I know for a fact that there are loads of people scamming at the moment. So there's scams going on with deliveries, which is a big thing now. You have to pay the duties or whatever. So look out for that one, because I was caught out just the other day and almost ended up losing some money. There are lots of other people who've been caught out on these Airbnb scams. They're going to be people who are trying to sell you all kinds of stuff because it's Christmas. Just be careful. I don't know if it was a mistake. It was actually kind of educational. I went to the shops on Tuesday. So I got this voucher from someone a while ago. You've got to actually go and spend the thing in person. There's no way to do that on the internet.
Yeah.
For a whole bunch of shops in this big shopping center. It was terrific. There were so many options, and I used it all on buying presents for other people, which was great.
Wow, nice.
Found
voucher.
some cool stuff. Yeah, it was quite a lot. It was nice. That was a good voucher. As vouchers go, that wasn't like 15 Rand. Okay, it was slightly better than that. So I went and bought a bunch of Christmas presents for people. But watching people in the mall was interesting, because I haven't done that for a long time. I'm so used to going when it's quiet and there aren't a lot of people, and it's not this time of year. And around Christmas, I've been pretty good about preparing in advance. So I'll buy all the presents that I need to get people long before. But it was interesting to see everybody, and it was busy. and people get that wild look in their eyes when it comes to this time of year. It's like they're on the hunt.
It is. Hey?
The hunter comes out in
Very
everybody,
good way of saying it.
and the gatherer comes out in the ones who are not hunters, and they get that kind of predator look in their eyes, and they're like, I'm here to find the stuff. I've come to hunt and gather, and you mustn't get in my way. People literally push their trolleys right into you.
Yeah.
There's chaos. There's like lots of noise. There's Christmas music. There's bright lights everywhere. Sail. You could very easily get caught up in it and end up like a little bit screwed by the end. I walked out of there after about an hour and a half. I was tired. I needed to have a nap after that. Just
it's a
because
sensory overload on so
it's
many
crazy,
different
right?
things. Because you also have expectation of what you want to get, and then all the stuff just comes at you like a gangbang. And and shopping is very deflating because sometimes you only find things. I mean, I hate shopping because I don't even find things I like, and I've got to try and force myself to think that someone else might like the stuff I don't like.
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult.
Here's someone with a story about a terrible place that they went to once. Tracy says, I had a similar thing in Tussie a few years ago. I ended up staying in the owner's room. Condoms and utility bills in the drawers. Hobart was busy New Year's Eve, and the Sydney-Hobart race was on. I had nowhere else to go. Oh, wow. So that's in Tasmania.
Yeah. But at least there, they won't use condoms like the place you went to.
Yes. You know, it's amazing to me how many people think that their house or their holiday house is Airbnb worthy. Like they live like animals, but they think other people will pay to live like that. Like they don't change the sheets. You know, there's a funny thing about having a holiday home, and I used to have a holiday home, and I don't anymore. But I didn't like other people staying there unless I knew if they were family or like if it was a friend. But it always bugged me that there are so many people who will they'll get out of their bed and make it maybe if they're a decent person, they'll make the bed, but they slept in it the night before and they will rent it out to someone else the next day, a total stranger. It's very odd, hey? I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, it is kind of odd. This whole thing about just Airbnbs, though, it's such a great idea, but time and place.
Yeah.
There's like a good reason why you have a hotel. It's a very sort of, transactional yet efficient kind of way of doing things. But again, what it comes back to your point, is that people get creative with this kind of stuff. Like I know people who live in Cape Town, and because everything's so expensive and there's there's not a lot of accommodation, some people just leave their houses for December and rent them out. And that basically pays for so much in their year. So that's cool and all.
Sure, if you live in Cape Town or
a family house
somewhere, sure.
People are happy that they lock a few things away. Otherwise, it's like, great, go at it. They go stay with in-laws or they go somewhere else that's cheaper, and they make a net profit. But the idea being that everyone can be a host because of Airbnb, it's a scary thought.
No, it's like
it's not everyone can be an Uber driver,
No, exactly. And not everybody can be an Instagram model.
Yes.
I mean, the internet has made a lot of people overconfident.
Yes,
that's the point.
Very much.
They're just overconfident. They're overconfident about their looks. They're overconfident about their house. They're overconfident about their car. Not all these things are available to you.
So few barriers to entry. We should have more barriers to entry in life.
Yes, absolutely.
Starting with Lily's vagina.
Close your vagina.
There's no barrier to entry there. Look what's happening in her life.
Lily's got to stop. Please, Lily, don't do the 1,000. I mean, you don't have to listen to me. Who the hell am I? But for your own happiness, I don't think that the rest of us can handle seeing you cry after 1,000 guys have had their way with you. It's just horrible.
You don't bounce back from that. She's not going to bounce back from this. But I was just on the thing of OnlyFans. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast this week, and there was this really interesting point around, because the last couple of weeks you spoke, I think on Monday, about that chick who makes like 40 million a year.
Yeah.
And this whole lure of OnlyFans is great. But I always think with these people, okay, you get rich, but then what do? You're almost like you're away. You're not part of society. Okay, so you're rich. What kind of relationship can you ever have with a guy? Because firstly, you're not going to go for anyone who's now poorer than you. Because now there's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
A lot of women don't want that. But then guys guys on her price point, this OnlyFans person, they don't want to be with an OnlyFans person. I don't think that's quite. If you're a multi-millionaire and you really do well in your life, these kind of things, you don't maybe want an OnlyFans woman to maybe be the mother of your child.
No, I don't think so, huh?
So
I really don't think so.
As much as it's great that these women are making money by not having to like do normal trashy work, they can just sit in their house and get their tits out. But where's it put them? Even when they've got so many millions of dollars, what part of society do they actually then connect with?
I don't know. And I think that these are going to be issues that we only figure out as we go forward from what's happening now, because this has never happened before.
Exactly.
This kind of thing has never been.
A lot of it ends in suicide, unfortunately.
It's not going to end well. I mean, you can already see, and this is why I can't understand why she now wants to go for the 1,000. You know, it's poor life choice after poor life choice after poor life choice. And you kind of just wish that she'd got more hugs when she was a little girl.
Exactly. But she now thinks that this is her lane, right?
She wouldn't have. This is, think about the attention she's getting.
Which she wouldn't ordinarily get. But then, yeah.
And a lot of people are driven by that need for attention. I mentioned before that to me, it's probably the most unattractive quality in anyone is this constant cloying need for attention. And you know, we saw what she looked like when we spoke about her last week, and I even said this is not an unattractive woman. This is not a girl who couldn't have gone and done something, you know, that wouldn't have been embarrassing for her in 10 years' time, or even the day after, as we saw from that clip earlier. She's made her choices, and I suppose, as the saying goes, you make your bed, you lie in it, except she's going to have 100 guys come and lie in it for a little while with her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand it. It's something we will have to work out, and it's you know, the next 20 years problem.
Like,
really.
I know I keep banging on this drum, but the follow-up show is actually just interviewing the parents of these fucking people.
Sure.
And you sit Lily's dad down. He's probably not even alive. Who knows? But you sit him down, you ask him some questions, and I think it'll be such engaging viewing because you know exactly what you're going to get. There's no chance that Oak tried hard or decent Oak.
Terrible
good
person.
job. Had built a good house.
Terrible person.
Terrible person.
So here's some funny things about houses. Tracy says, my aunt rents out her house in a popular seaside town for 30,000 Rand a day.
Nice.
Minimum stays 2 weeks, pays for her travels throughout the year. Now that is clever.
Yeah.
That is clever.
I've also heard stories like that. It's great.
But I have the kind of house that it couldn't be anyone else's house. I mean, I've got framed pictures of family and friends all over the place. I've got things that I've collected over years. I've got books
your house
that
is
I
a monument.
read.
A monument to you.
I love just being in my house, and it's very individual, but I could never have anyone stay there without me being there. It's an impossibility. I could never rent out even a room in my house. It would be bizarre. And I struggled to do this with a holiday house where there wasn't that kind of thing. So I don't understand. Ben, isn't it sad that Lily got to 100 before Temba Bavuma, says Carl. That's terrible. And Carla wants to know, is that a couch for giants, or is this a compact version of Ben that you use for efficiency? It's actually smaller than the other one that we had.
Yeah, I think if Ryan or Leanne was sitting next to me, it's actually quite big. Hey, now you put it like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of space there. But that's also because we're showing like the empty space where soon Andre the Hilarious Hypnotist will be sitting. And then a cruel comment here, but not unexpected as the comment section goes, from Hugh, who says, no, we want her to do the 1,000. Teach her a lesson. It's going to be hilarious to see her break. I mean, that's also the internet, right? You're going to watch other people fail.
But
hate themselves.
To that comment, she's already broken. She's doing some sorry, but you're already a broken person if you are doing this kind of things.
Apparently her mom is...
Or you talk about physically breaking, because that's also weird.
And here's something weird. Her mom is her financial manager.
See, going back to fucked up parents.
Well, who started all of that? Kris Kardashian, right? She's the one who said, I see a way. And if all you want's money, cool. I see a way to make this whole family famous. We just need to get Ray J and Kim to bang each other on camera. And this was in the days before OnlyFans, so they were trailblazing. It had kind of been done by Paris Hilton. It had kind of been done by Pamela Anderson. That's the chronology.
Yeah, but those are white cocks. Very, very low ceiling with white cock. Kardashians. When you look at like when you interview billionaires, you get those like viral things like, where do you get your money from? The Kardashians literally just say like, look, we went all in on black cock. They did. They were looking at the markets, telecoms, natural resources.
And we persuaded our dad to go trans.
They went all in on black cock and
and that's how it worked. Oof. Lily must hire Mum Kardashian. Well, she's kind of got her own mom who sounds like she's the same. The show today looks like Ben is having a sleepover at Garrett's house. Garrett's playing games on his computer at his desk, and Ben is waiting his turn. All right, let's get into some sport, though, because you've got some of that for us.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent weekend.
Cool, let's have a look.
Look, it's actually a fantastic festive season ahead. So, on the Bounce Show this week, we went into like the football, because when we're stuffing our face and doing nothing for the next few weeks, that doesn't stop.
No.
We've got all of that. We've got Test cricket. We've got Pakistan here playing cricket against the Proteas, India in Australia. The golf's going to wind down. The rugby keeps going. So it's actually a wonderful, wonderful time of year.
I know this is forecasting a little bit, but there's always that big Boxing Day test.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
Always a big thing.
Okay.
So you can wake up at 1:30 in the morning to catch the Australia one. And you can literally just go all the way through, stuff in your face, lying horizontally till about 5:30 in the afternoon.
For a cricket fan, that's heaven.
That's a great day, especially if you've had a cut Christmas and you're like, oh, these fucking people. And you basically just like power drank your way through family engagements. Boxing Day is like the lights in the tunnel there. That's me.
Power. Just hit the hard liquor.
Yeah. So to start with some football, there's obviously the Premier League dynamics right now are so cool. Man City going into the season favorites. They faltered heavily. No one knows if Pep actually cares anymore. He lost all those games. Liverpool are great, but they're going to plateau. Even James knows that. Arsenal, they bottled it early, but maybe that was a false dawn. That actually they were like, no, we still got this. We're just going to do it from further back. And then, Man United are obviously going to always be losers. Chelsea are surprisingly fantastic.
You just say that as a matter of fact.
Everyone knows now.
Okay.
But everyone was ridiculing Chelsea at the beginning of the season about having 73 Oaks in their books. They've got like 7 guys in every position. But now, when you look at how much football gets played and the endless amounts of like the demands, they are currently second in the log and they're looking really good. Fun team to watch. There's a lot of young energy. Expectations obviously quite low. I mean, they finished 6th last year. They're playing in this UEFA conference something because they were so cucked last year. They haven't even got like a shirt sponsor. And they're just having a jaw.
That's horrific.
Having a jaw. So Saturday...
That's horrific. They don't even have a shirt sponsor. I mean, isn't that like base entry level professional
Talkwise was going to come online in November and it's never really... someone forgot to sew it on or someone's not
maybe
signed the
Lily
contract.
can back them.
Just like all the names of Lily's Oaks in the front of their shirts. That would be quite a thing. Or basically, she just does the whole Chelsea team next year.
Oh, here we go. What do you think of the 2 Manchester clubs at the bottom of their game? Who will win the derby this weekend, says JP?
And that's what we get into, JP, because we'll start with Arsenal. They're playing Everton at 3. Liverpool versus Fulham. So you would imagine those 2 teams pretty routine. They should run through those guys at home. But yeah, the big game is Sunday, Man City versus Man United. I think Man City will win this one. I think just on muscle memory alone, they're just so much better. And, as my co-host said this week, Pep does pick himself up for these certain games. But I think if this game was played maybe 2 months' time, it's just so hard to forecast these things because you think that Man City can't just be so cucked because they lost one player. Yeah. And then you think with Man United that this new coach might get something to happen in about a month or 2. But either way, I don't think Man City are going to get too troubled by this. Because that's the thing with Man United. They've got all this false hope. It's just about like having almost like an absent dad. When he does rock up every now and again, everyone's so excited. So when Man United wins every now and again, like they've done against teams like Leicester, everyone gets so excited. But no, I mean, there's still this. You're so far away from being good again.
Is the era of superstar coaches over? Because as someone who doesn't watch all that often, I don't hear that much. I mean, you mentioned Pep Guardiola now, but I don't hear that much about coaches. It always used to be that they were part of the celebrity package that came with a big
Gareth, it's a surprisingly good question. I think it's so hard for these guys to maintain intensity over a certain amount of time. So the superstars in recent times, Jurgen Klopp was a great example of that. because he was, I mean, he hugged the players. He was casual, smart casual, had a nice beard. James is hero.
Carl says, Lily must sponsor United. They're constantly getting fucked anyway.
But the whole thing about being a superstar coach is that you've got to be heart and soul. It really is a thing. It's not like, even initially with Sir Alex Ferguson, he was kind of heart and soul, but he was like 4 whiskeys in kind of heart and soul.
Sure.
And
Old school.
Old school, got a lot of respect. Nowadays, I think a lot of these footballers, they're not that smart. They're very focused on what they need to do. So you need to physically drum it into them to do this, do this, do this. And there's a lot more games being played nowadays, a lot more high stakes across the entire season.
Right.
Like if you look at Man City, they're going to be playing in this Club World Cup tournament. There's Champions League. There's all the stuff domestically. To be a great manager, to be intense over the whole time, to get a tune out of these oaks, I don't think there's the longevity like there used to be.
Snipes says, and this is an interesting point worthy of discussion, football during the festive season is not good for big families with one big screen. And then Judas says later on, you are so right. A loaf of bread lasts 24 hours, cereal and noodles 2 days, snacks are going crazy, December holidays are something else. So if you got one big screen and you have to provide all the snacks and you got the family there for Christmas, it can get very, very expensive.
Yeah, keep your circle tight, yeah.
No, you just ain't cut down on the numbers.
Even if if it's family, you must have different squads. You must have home and away. You got
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
then like the other game to watch out for the Premier League this weekend is Chelsea versus Brentford. Brentford have been a bit dark horse-ish, but I think ultimately these teams have started well or have like clung on, like Nottingham Forest and Brentford. They're all going to fall away. And teams like Chelsea are just going to show their class. There's also the CAF Champions League, which Sundowns and Pirates are in. Sundowns were kind of just had enough of their coach. They fired him already. Huge dynamic now because they brought this new Porro in. So now there's going to be
because we could say Porro on this
there's going
show.
to be a language dynamic. Well,
Yeah.
especially now the one's coaching Sundowns. This is the dream. So there's a whole new dynamic coming in now. You know, the whole Pitzer era has kind of now been completed and away with because all the technical staff are now done. It's a whole fresh slate, clean slate. But Sundowns need to be the Champions League team. Like they need to be the strong team on the continent.
Right.
If they're going to get out of the group, I'm not entirely sure. They're playing Raya CA at 3:00 on Sunday.
Who the hell are they, Ben?
They're going to be up north of the equator, Gareth.
Okay,
I'll give you
but
that much.
You don't know where. Somewhere. Somewhere. Could
So,
be Gabon.
Sundowns
Could
have
be Guinea-Bissau.
They've not had a good start. They had a draw last week. Sure, they're top of the Premier League locally with Pirates, but they haven't played many games. So Pirates, this is a great time for them to really kick on. I said at the start of the season, they'll win the season this year, the Premier League. And Sundowns, you know, you feel a lot of blood in the water with these teams that go through this. It's like right now, Man City, everybody wants to try to beat them because they were so good for so long. They've faltered. They've shown that they're kind of average. And everyone wants to play these guys. Sundowns are going to have that stink on them as well. But like Lily walking into a room. And then, so Saturday, Stade Abidjan are hosting Pirates at 6. Big weekend of rugby. Now, the Investec Champions Cup.
Okay.
So most conversations to most of my disappointment nowadays, it all goes back to like workload and how you manage your squads and having so many different games. The Investec Champions Cup is a wonderful idea in that the top SA teams, so Stormers, Bulls, and the Sharks, they get to play against the best from France, England, and then the rest of the URC teams. And it's a really cool thing to do because it's basically the Champions League of rugby. But then you look at these teams like Toulouse and Toulon, fuck, they're good. They've got such good squads. So my favorite rugby podcast, the Keo and Zell's show, they were talking about team budgets this week. So your average sort of your top flight SA team has a player budget of around 90 million rand for the year. 90 million. Toulouse, 50 million euros.
Wow.
So, you know, euros,
Jesus.
that much. So basically, we are fighting against Oaks who've got 10 times the player budget. So our guys go into all these different tournaments and we just have South African players, which is great because we're the best rugby nation in the world. But we need lots of other people to go play these things. Imagine if Liverpool was just English players or Arsenal was just English players. There would be absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
So we're going into Europe with just South African Oaks, whereas Toulouse and these teams, they'll be like, we've got Welsh Oaks, we got the best Argentinians, we got French, we got English, we can buy whoever we want.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to play against these guys or win. So I don't think we'll ever win this tournament, but it's kind of sobering because then you can't get massive investors to come in because winning this tournament doesn't give you billions. You don't actually win any extra money. So we're kind of stuck in this weird place in rugby. It's a conversation for a different day. But Bulls versus Northampton at Loftus at 3. What a time for Loftus here. It's like the end of the year, but for some reason they don't like the
You're going to the game?
Cup. I'm probably going to go through with some friends. I got Afrikaans friends that like rugby.
Good.
I have range.
Right,
Leicester will be hosting the Sharks. That'll be at 7:30, and the Harlequins are hosting the Stormers at 10 o'clock on Saturday night. But I say it's a good time for Loftus because today you can go to Centurion and watch SA versus Pakistan for T20. So we're talking about long stints. You can go there, get absolutely hammered in the sun,
book into the City Lodge,
go to a City Lodge,
and then go straight to the rugby
just
the
roll
next
out
day.
into rugby because it's a 3 o'clock kickoff.
That's
an
very good.
earlier one. So you can be
excellent.
You can in Pretoria this weekend. You can basically just go from brandy to brandy, Bryce smoke to Bryce smoke. Look, Sunday will be a mess for you.
Yeah, but you got Monday to recover.
Absolutely.
So this
you got a day to reconcile.
This is a perfect weekend for Pretoria in every which way.
You got a day to reconcile your life on Monday.
Right.
So that'll be today at Centurion, 6 o'clock. SA versus Pakistan. Pakistan are our big summer opponents this December, this summer.
Decide. Just decide.
Too many words. Massive opponents, right? So we're playing the T20s with them currently. We're 1-0 up in the series. So the game will be today. And then tomorrow at Wanderers will be the third and final T20. Then we play the ODIs. We play the test matches. So they're very much here for the weekend. Weekends.
Okay. And then we got someone commenting here that we need to hear about some EFC. Congo Chris says in the sport, it's once a month on a Thursday. It's perfect for a Friday show. The last 2 fights last night were great. Did you see any of them? Because you were at our party. You didn't.
I didn't watch it. I know JT Botsa got a good knockout. Very happy for him. But no, sorry, Chris, I have nothing else for you.
All right. Well, you can tell us, Chris. You tell us in the comments. We'll report directly from you.
The last thing of the sports this weekend is the Alfred Dunhill Championship at Leopard Creek. It's one of the coolest things you can watch on TV because they've got big cameras that go into the park because it's Crocodile
River. It must
River.
be hot as hell there as well.
Yeah, the guys play in shorts and they're sweat.
Like 42 degrees, somewhere around there.
It's hectic. But you're right by the Crocodile River. It's just incredible. And they've got probably one of the greatest golf tournament Instagram accounts
Just
in the world.
Explain to me how Leopard Creek works. Okay, so we know Johan Rupert started it.
Yes.
It's on, as you say, the Crocodile River. You've got animals, wild animals all over the place. We've all seen those videos of like crocs on the greens and hyenas coming up to the players while they're about to putt and that kind of thing. But these magnificent houses all around. Who's allowed on that golf course and who isn't? Just owners?
Yeah, you can't just rock up with a Pam Golding sign and go on that one.
Okay. How does it work? I like these little exclusive things we've got in South Africa that nobody knows about.
It's great.
I want to know. Tell me how it works.
I don't know how it worked in the beginning. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what went down. But, there's certain networks and certain abilities to buy certain things.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't completely exclusive as in like you got blackballed because your car was shit or something like that.
Mm.
But there was a certain kind of person that would buy a house there.
Okay.
And obviously it was at a certain price point. But you always hear these like urban legends around Johan Rupert because he owns everything. He makes, like his Instagram account is called Cut Maker because he makes the cut, he's in charge. And for better or for worse, people say what they want about him, but the circus created and provided so much for golf, for golfers, for sport, for development. The circus given back so much. I think he almost has the right to be as much of a prick as he wants to be, if he is. I don't know. I've never met him, so I don't know if he is or he isn't, but you hear all these stories. You also hear stories of how if he doesn't like you, he can buy your house and tell you to piss off. So if you're getting a little bit too uppity at like an AGM, it's like, we don't really want your sort here. So with respect, how much is your house worth? No, please piss off. So you hear these, again, I can't confirm these. This is what you just hear. But that's the kind of place. It's meant to be special. It's not a place to go and fuck around, but it is perfect. Like I said about the NGC and the hospitality, when the pros come to Leopard Creek,
they lay on everything.
It's just, it's mind-blowing how amazing that place is. The practice facilities, the golf course itself, how well it's manicured. One of the greatest clubhouses you'll ever see. Everything about that place is essentially pretty perfect. It
sounds amazing.
It's a feat of engineering.
Congo Chris also says 18 holes being chased by a pack of hyenas. Finally, they've made golf exciting.
But if you follow Dunhill Links Championship, I think on Instagram, it's the coverage alone is just so cool.
It looks beautiful.
It's so
that's why I'm
perfect.
asking, because I don't know. I've never been there. Tracy says Kakuza was 44 degrees yesterday.
Wow.
Even the hyenas were in the pool having a swim.
This has been like the hottest summer in quite some time.
It's been insane, and everybody's talking about it. You know, we don't like to talk about the weather on this show because we got people watching and listening from all over the world. But South Africa's having a really good, picture-perfect, hot summer. It's lovely.
And to be in these places, again, if you're in Leopard Creek and you've got like an infinity pool that looks over the river.
Oh, you could be in the pool with a drink while you're watching the golfers sweat.
It must be incredibly special. Again, it's one of those things that
have a hard time.
I don't know, maybe when he's married to certain families, that's where the future. I don't want to do that. But it's a really cool thing that people get to do. Like I don't understand jealousy in life. I think it's a stupid emotion. But you see, like a place like Leopard Creek exists, that makes me happy. Do I own a place there? No. Can I go there tomorrow? Also, probably not.
I think the whole point of life, and this is where the commies always get it wrong, is that the point of life is to be exclusive, not inclusive. You know, we hear a lot about inclusivity and all the rest of it, but most people, even the most ardent egalitarian, someone who's, believes fervently that everyone should be equal, we should all have the same things. If you give them something no one else has and they feel special, they're not going to share that.
No.
I mean, they'll pretend that they're the kind of people who want everything to be equal.
Well, do you think Bernie Sanders
he's got holiday homes.
Do you think he does lift clubs with his sports cars?
He has holiday homes. He doesn't hire other people's Airbnbs.
No.
And this is the point, right? Is that you want, and I asked you about Leopard Creek because these are the kinds of things that people aspire to. We all want to have many options in life.
Yeah.
And you want to have options that other people might not be able to have. You know, it's like, for example, if you've ever flown on a private jet, you kind of think ordinary plane travel, even first-class plane travel with all the other people, is a bit like parvenu.
Yeah.
You know? If you've been to places like Leopard Creek and played golf there, then you kind of feel sorry for the guys who are playing at the Germiston Country Club. I mean, God bless them. I don't know if Germiston's any good or not. You might know the course better than me. I certainly don't.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a destination
but
venue.
You do. You look down on them. You feel special, and people want to feel special. The point of life is to feel as different to everyone else as possible, not the same. And this is where it's all going to go wrong. I do want to comment on one other thing someone said in the comment section right at the start of the show, which I thought was fascinating. I'm not sure if this is true. Elon is now worth $7 trillion. Is that possible?
Is that forecasting in what he's apparently going to steal from Donald?
I don't know, but this is what people are saying.
People are saying he's going to be he's like the Guptas of America. There is so much stupidity around this right now.
Look, there is. That's why I'm asking. I don't know how you go from a couple of $100 billion, which is what he had the last time I checked in on this, to $7 trillion. That seems like an enormous leap.
That's just some commie maths.
You think so?
That's basically saying, because now Donald's in charge, Donald's going to give him all of this.
Okay.
It's probably just commie maths. And that's the thing,
right.
like you can never ever, and I know this is obvious, you never trust communists because they're dishonest. Everything you just said there, they want all those things because they don't have them. They use people as pawns to try and say we should all have it, but they want the same shit. And the difference is we're honest.
Stop lying. You would. If you had millions and millions, you'd also do these exclusive things. Here we go. Elon Musk's wealth
Rand
versus South Africa's GDP. Okay, this translates to 7.3 trillion rand. It means that Elon Musk's net wealth exceeds South Africa's GDP by hundreds of billions of rands. It is noteworthy that Elon Musk was born and raised in South Africa. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago, someone said that he could buy South Africa. I mean, that's true. But
he probably could. So you wouldn't just buy Leopard Creek or a house there. You could buy the whole fucking place, everything. He could buy us, James. He could buy us and put us into slavery, Ben.
But can you imagine what the year-end party would be like?
Oh, it'd be quite something.
A little money in that machine.
There'd be a lot of money in that money machine. You like that money. Did you try the money machine?
No, I'm not a full-time employee of the agency. I'm not going to go in there and go, okay, my turn. Kind of a prick what I look like.
But you wanted to.
Oh, that was fun.
Have you ever tried a money machine where the wind blows the money up and you have to grab it?
I would absolutely want more money at any stage in life, but that wasn't my place.
But would you do something like that?
Of course I would.
Okay, good. All right, good. You're not too good.
I'm not above that.
You're not too good to do that. All right.
See, again,
excellent.
I'm honest.
All right. Very good. You're not a commie.
It's good to be honest in life. I like those fucking
Decent.
commies.
All right. Here's some things that I want you to see before we take a break at 7. Just quickly, I want you to see this thing from. This is how people. We're talking about how hot it is. This is how people are going to. I certainly see myself doing this as soon as we finish on Friday next week. I'm going to go home. I'm basically going to put on swimming shorts and I'm going to be in the pool pretty much the whole time, whether it's me or me with people around or me with family or whatever.
Amazing.
So here, the hippo, this is what I'm going to look like in my pool. And I'm not even embarrassed about it. Take a look. Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to my holiday as well. So I fly down to Cape Town 21st, and I'll be at my parents' place, probably only in a pair of shorts for 9 whole days.
And it's hot there too.
Yeah, it's great. Pool, drinks, books.
Lovely.
And then I come back on the 30th, I'm going to play some golf.
Yeah, I know that.
All I want to do in the whole world.
Even if you have one of those little inflatable pools, get it ready. It's going to be busy this holiday. Way busier than Lily. Let's just say that. And one quick thing, if you are going to do any adventure things, I was talking to someone yesterday at our party about like skydiving and bungee jumping. Just make sure that you tick the boxes in terms of like health and safety, because here's a woman on a swing, and you've got to make sure that the swing can support you and that you can actually hold on to the swing, if you know what I mean. Take a look and you'll see.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
What did the grass ever do to deserve that?
Shame. That's really horrible. Just be careful. I'm not likely to do any of the skydiving or bungee jumping stuff now. I think I'm past that.
It's a bit like getting a tattoo. It's a lovely idea, but do you really need it?
Listen, I saw some decent tattoos being done last night.
Yeah, some people do actually they do.
And I don't
tattoos.
think it's like the world's biggest decision anymore for people. There were people who walked in, they're like, yeah, I'll get one straight away. I think if you've never had a tattoo, then you probably think about it very carefully. But once you've got more than one or two, you're like, sure, let's add to the pile. And each of them means something to people.
Well, I know that next year, Marv's going to get James tattooed on his other arm.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. And don't forget, Andre, the hilarious hypnotist, is going to be joining us. Going to talk about millennials and Gen Z and how happy they are in their jobs, especially at this time of year. And we've got lots of other things, including Panyaza Lesufi has ideas around education that are going to frighten the hell out of you. But then maybe that's not news. Maybe you could have guessed that just by looking at him.
More commie lies, huh?
More commie lies and so much more on the way.
All they do is they just lie.
Just lies.
Just lie.
They need to be properly vetted as Nigerians. Not because all Nigerians are bad, but unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of elements of bad behavior within the Nigerian diaspora.
The
and we're
419,
not talking about Chichi.
We're talking about the 419 rules.
You check now.
Yeah,
and the hush puppies. We do have a significant problem in Sunnyside, Cape Town, Point, Durban, CBD, Hillbrow, Yeovil, and most recently, every hotel in Sandton. Let me tell you something, girls. If a man tells you he lives at Iting Tonton Hotel in Sandton, he's taking you there, don't go.
Some guys said the laws here.
Yeah.
Very relaxed.
In their countries, you steal something, the hand that steals gets chopped.
Listen, we have a constitution here, brother. You and your other MK members need to calm down. I'm joking. Kwazam konto kwaz.
What is trauma?
Trauma is anything unexpected that is potentially life-threatening or barrier-threatening. Things like witnessing traumatic events, domestic traumas, your GBV, but there's very subtle things. If no one gets hurt, you kind of go, okay, so you're safe, but someone's entered my space and I have been violated, so I don't feel safe. And that still becomes a trauma. So it's important to deal with it so that it doesn't turn into something like PTSD.
Alrighty, we are back and we are live. It is Friday morning. It's also the beginning of a long weekend.
Yay!
Yes. You got any plans for the Monday? It's always weird when there's a Monday public holiday. You're not really sure what to do with it. I mean, obviously December is exceptional because in December you can do whatever you want. So you could actually do like a braai in the afternoon, invite some people around. You could go somewhere. You could do something fun. You could plan a whole long weekend if you were clever enough to have planned it in advance, but it's already Friday. It's too late now if you're going to go away for the weekend or something.
Yeah, I'm excited for Monday just to wrap up the last of everything I might need to do for work.
It might be one of those days where you just take the day to
I'm just
chill.
Just wrapping everything up at work because then I know, like, this week's been quite hectic.
Defragment the hard drive. You remember when we used to have to do that with our
consolidate the folders?
Like before I got a decent laptop, you had to actually take the thing and you'd have to put it through a process where it moved little files in the hard drive and tidied it all up. And I almost feel like humans have to do that. We have to have some point in the year where we can just defragment.
Well, because you can't start January with all that shit hanging
Hell
around
no.
like loose.
No.
You've got to, before you go away, you got to tidy everything up.
Sure. And I also think that you got to start the year. And that's why we're probably going to have like a real network kind of beginning of year party. Because
even less chance of hookups there, huh?
No, but I think it's also then you start the year with like excitement and positivity. And
we did that once to the agency I used to work at. It was actually a really good idea.
Yeah. Gives people a reason to be excited about starting the year. All right. So a couple of things we got to get to this morning. And this is a very bizarre story about someone who ripped out their own eyes, like a meth addict or something. You started telling me about this last night. And so it sounds almost like some story from Game of Thrones or,
well, it's
ancient history.
It happened in 2018. This woman, her life seemed okay. And then she got into smoking marijuana, gateway drug.
Is it? Okay.
And then,
some people would disagree.
A few things didn't quite go her way. And then she got into meth. But she was very religious. Okay. So she was very much into trying to get closer to God because her life was a bit shit. And then add meth to that. She had this strange notion that she would get closer the more meth that she took. But then obviously meth is really bad for you.
No, talk about giving us the information we need to hear on a Friday. Thanks, Ben.
And then she had this strange notion that if she didn't pull her eyes out, everyone was going to die. And there is, I wouldn't even try to paraphrase it, but there is a verse in the Bible where it's like if you see evil, you must rip out your eye because you must be pure when you get into like the Holy Land.
Put out your eyes.
Just put out your eye.
That's what it says. Put out your eyes.
Because you've witnessed evil.
Yeah.
And this was the kind of where she was going with this. But then I thought, okay, when you're on meth, I'm sure you got no pain thresholds or anything else. That's quite something. But it's an actual phrase. It's called auto-enunciation. Auto-enunciation. Also known as Oedipism.
Okay. I know the story. Because in order
to enunciation, yeah.
So in the story of Oedipus, in order to escape the horrors that he committed, including sleeping with his own mother, he gouges out his eyes with pins. That's what happens in Greek mythology.
So it's happened. And
so this was a thing that she, without knowing the story of Oedipus, just because she was a meth head, she was driven to doing this?
But Gareth, there's been instances where this has actually happened. It's not just this one woman. There's been many, many cases over the years of people doing this, either in prison or on drugs. And I always think a lot of it comes down to people interpret things terribly. You know, it's like religion's great to have in your life, but then once you have an unstable person with meth, the interpretation of these things is so bad.
They say that this guy who shot the pharmaceutical CEO, sorry, not the pharmaceutical, the health insurance CEO in New York for United Insurance, that guy, they say he also had done quite a lot of ayahuasca and mushrooms and all of that stuff. I think anybody, and again, I'm not an expert. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this, but I think anybody who has problems before they do drugs, those problems are exacerbated and made worse.
Amplifying it, yeah.
Anybody who doesn't have problems before is unlikely to have problems after. But because most people have problems, let's face it, I mean, most people's lives are damn difficult. You got to be super careful about what you take, especially these hallucinogens, because you could start imagining all kinds of things. I think the minute you get to stuff like meth, it's tickets. Very few paths back from that.
No one tries meth.
Once you go up that mountain, like there isn't a way down. I don't know personally too many people who've taken meth, so I can't really comment on this as someone with experience in it. But I don't see a very happy outcome.
But this again, it's just
meth. I mean, pulling your eyes out is one of the outcomes, and it's not a good one.
I think that's the biggest example of how crazy it is. They pulled.
Jesus.
You think of it, you can't think of anything else you could do to yourself that's worse.
I
like literally nothing.
I could never listen. I wince when I get a gritted, bit of sand in my eye or something.
But to pull your eyes out,
actually did she stick her hands in and pull them out?
There was utensils involved.
Oh my
bit of this,
God.
bit of that.
That was one of the most disturbing things about Game of Thrones is when that guy, grabbed the eye of the other dude and pulled it out during that big fight scene.
Yeah.
The mountain, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
The eyes are, they do that LASIK surgery while people are awake, right? And then they will reattach retinas or they'll correct lenses or whatever while the people are awake and they can see it happening. I mean, my eyelids just start automatically closing. I get that's probably the most sensitive place anywhere in your body.
It freaked me out having it done, and it's still looking.
I don't
back.
know how people put in contact lenses. That's got to be horrible.
I think where I was going with this is that have a good summer, but don't do meth.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's just pull it back.
Yeah.
Have a great summer, everybody. Just
don't do meth. You can't reconcile meth. Even on a Monday, even this Monday now, Reconciliation Day, you can't reconcile meth.
Oh my God. Yeah, listen. There are horror stories all over the place when it comes to that. It's all about your state, setting, and dose when it comes to the natural stuff like shrooms, says Bitcoin Boat. Look, I just know that this is a big trend. There are so many people who are doing this now because there are podcasts where they talk about it endlessly. I don't have any intel to add on this. I just think if you go into something with a lot of problems and you're not doing it if you're doing it recreationally, let's just say, and you haven't thought it through and you're not with people that you know very well and you're dealing with a lot of serious demons, it might not go well. And you've got to be very careful, like you would about being a serious drinker if you know that you're going to act out and behave badly when you're drunk. These drugs, a lot of people's minds are not completely stable. And I feel very sorry for those people. I genuinely have a lot of compassion for people who are going through big mental health issues. If you take this stuff, then it could exacerbate them. It could make it a lot worse. Some people would think, if I just do that, I'll be better, because you meet these people who have suddenly become enlightened. I did a couple of mushroom journeys and now I've figured out the meaning of life. Sure, there are those people, but there are also those people who have come out of it a lot worse.
I think it's a lot like getting into good shape, right? You don't suddenly just take like one dose of steroids, inject your asshole.
Very
and you're
bad
good.
idea.
Like you've got to build everything up. I think it's also when you deal with your demons, you can't just think, I need an ayahuasca trip and then I'll get the enlightenment and I'll be fine. or if I just take meth once. Like nothing happens. There's no magic wand for anything in this world. And I think a lot of people who have these demons, I mean, I've heard of those mushroom journeys, but I'm also worried that if you put a lot of hope in that, it could open up something else. And if you can't deal with something on like on an incremental basis, you're so screwed.
Carl says, my mom always said meth isn't healthy. I must only do cocaine and whiskey. Keep it classy. Meth and heroin, says Dirk, must purely be to escape the day-to-day shit in life. You don't take it to have a fun time. Clearly, Gareth has never got an arc eye. You seriously consider pulling them out, rationalizing that they're not important. Arc eyes that's what you get, Slippery Pickle. Isn't that what you get when you are a welder?
Yeah, or
arc eyes?
if you're stuck in the Antarctic and you're just
with the glare,
can't
the
get
ice.
from the glare. Yeah.
Would you rather lob off your own cock or remove your own eyes? That's a pretty bad would you rather.
It's a terrible one, but I'd keep my eyes.
I think so. I think that's the easy choice. I mean, it's horrible, but yes, that's you'd rather be able to see.
Like, I think it'd be less painful as well.
Definitely.
So the woman who gouged her own eyes out, she says she just had intense migraines for like months because your brain is like, what the fuck just happened?
After she died.
Yeah.
So she stayed alive.
Yeah, she's alive. She's still going. She's probably going to become a motivational speaker or some shit. I don't know. But you're taking the wind of your brain out. So your brain is now going to be in disarray.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
Imagine your brain thinking, what the fuck just happened here?
Yeah. Well, exactly.
You're going to have so much pain.
I just think of the millions of years of evolution that have brought about the eye.
Yeah.
And how disrespectful it is of you to pluck them out. Pluck them out. There's no other way to put it. I simply stay away, says Bushveldput, from all the drugs. However, if it is natural and used responsibly, I see no problem. Surviving Life says, I drank alcohol. I realized I needed to stop when I saw my behavior under the influence is not like others. Well, there are some advantages to people filming everything. Is that a lot of drunk people get to see what they look like when they're drunk. And they're so embarrassed that they don't want to do it again. Although for some, they're like, oh, I'll just do it better next time. I'll be more responsible.
No, I mean, alcohol makes life more fun. I've made peace with that. I went 2-3 years of really not drinking. It was a good experiment, but I need booze. I need to have drinks.
It's other people. I think we had this conversation, but it's other people. It's really hard dealing with drunk people when you're sober. If you're the only one at a party and you're not drinking at all, it's not hard for you, but it is hard for you to deal with others.
Yeah, always.
Right?
But I just think I have a kind of personality that needs to soften a bit. So, pour a few beers on that. Everyone wins.
There are only those handful of people on Adderall and a bottle of wine daily who think their shit is under control, says Slippery Pickle. Pharmaceuticals are just as dangerous, if not more. Yeah, I mean, there are tons and tons of people on antidepressants and on medicine that helps them stay awake and concentrate, Ritalins and Adderalls and all that stuff. I mean, Adderall's more of an American thing, but I do believe that we're probably over. There are too many chemicals going on. These were not available to people 1,000 years ago.
Exactly.
And I think they had to find their kicks in other ways. And you had to deal with a bit of pain, and you had to deal with a bit of discomfort and a little bit of adversity, and it makes you better. And I think we're all just a little bit soft, especially in first world countries where you can get a pill for anything.
Yeah. And there's peer pressure around that. Like, well, you have to take this, or why aren't you on this?
Or you could get hypnotized. Why don't we get Andre in here, guys? I don't think we'll actually do any hypnosis, but we'll talk to him a little bit this morning. There's no pressure, Andre. You don't have to worry about hypnotizing anybody. So yeah, Andre, the Hilarious Hypnotist, has been in the business for a very long time, and he's terrific. And we were actually talking about, and the reason I thought it would be a good idea to get him in today is because he was in the army with Kurt Darren, which is pretty cool. You remember Kurt? Kurt was on the show just the other day.
Yeah.
And they were saying they did a TV show together as well, which is pretty cool. And I thought we'd get Andre in. He has been dishing out his brand of hilarious hypnotic entertainment for the past 35 years. Look, there he is.
Guys, you got to work on a better system to get a
this
guest
system
in.
is not good,
You just put this poor man through an obstacle course.
He just had to climb over 20 different chairs.
James basically sat him in the shadow for 20 seconds there.
That was funny. So you've been doing this 35 years, Andre.
Gareth, forever. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you, man. And listen, I'm sorry I've never been able to be hypnotized because there are just people who can't, right?
Yes.
Is it because am I a problem? Am I too much of a control freak, or are there just
No, some people just can't be hypnotized. Most of us can be influenced to a certain degree.
Because we've tried.
But yeah.
Work.
I mean, I go under. So I'm the one of the suckers. But as you mentioned, old Kurt Darren, we were in the army together for 2 years. No chance.
Really? He can't either? Because he did say so.
Yeah, he's pretty safe.
So is it a skill that everyone can learn to hypnotize people?
Yes, now more so than 30 years ago when I started. Then it was handed over from one person to another.
Like
so
an
it was
apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship, yes. I did. There was a guy called Max Colley, who a lot of people might still remember. And he was like the hypnotist in the country. And I did an apprenticeship with him. But these days you go to university or you register at a body and you just train and
are there like YouTube videos you can really?
Yeah. It's it's not dangerous. And for the most part, you're hoping that the person being hypnotized is not stupid enough to have the wrong person hypnotize them. You make sure that the person that you're hypnotizing is actually.
You don't want Pete Diddy hypnotizing you.
No.
Pete Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein. You know what those guys doing? Oprah.
Yeah.
Oprah.
Oh, yeah, she's also there. Huh?
Oprah just dangles those car keys in front of you and says, "You get a car, and they're all hypnotized. They're like, "I'll watch Oprah forever.
Yeah.
I love being a housefrau." Hypnosis is a state, a mental state of being. So it's a. I mean, we know we can measure sleep now. There's alpha sleep and there's all kinds of different sleeps, and people are taking in information or they're not. What do we actually know since you started this about hypnosis that we didn't know when you did?
I think we've moved considerably. So hypnosis, when I started, it was a control thing. It's like, sleep, and you do everything I say, and you don't question it, and you have no memory recollection. So we were very authoritarian.
Sort of like a Mussolini type thing.
Yeah.
You
kind of there's a psychological question. He's like, what is wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Now in retrospect, much lighter states that we work with, much less reaction from the audience. I can work with a person that knows everything they're doing the entire show. So no more of that loss of control stuff. We don't actually we don't encourage that type of misconception at all.
By the way, is that something that you have to program into the people when you're hypnotizing them, or is it something that you've changed the actual method of hypnosis?
You know what? We have evolved. So people in general have just evolved. So what I was able to get reaction-wise 35 years ago, just not possible anymore because of television, advertising, social media, the whole.
What if people become more aware?
Yeah, we literally.
Well, you
have
say
evolved.
we were pretty stupid before.
Yeah,
pliable.
Because we know, for example, that generally measured IQ has gone up. Like people are more intelligent. They're better at pattern seeking than they've been before.
Yeah.
But when I used to watch cartoons, when I first became aware of hypnosis, it was like they dangled a thing in front of your eyes, and then your eyes would go like this, and then you'd go into a trance. That's obviously just a very simplified version.
You know what? There are people that want the dangling watch, and so if you're a therapist, that's what you're going to do. On stage, I work on what we call idiomotor response. So it's kind of identifying people and their likelihood to be susceptible to
How do you
suggestion.
identify?
You know what? I literally talk about one hand becoming heavy, one hand becoming light. Their hands move apart. Kind of look for eyes twitching. There's 3 or 4 certain signs that'll tell you, this guy's highly
That's
hypnotizable.
amazing.
Yeah.
And what do you call that? An
Idiomotor response. Idiomotor. It
doesn't mean they're idiots, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Oddly enough, the reason the glassy Ouija board thing works is the very same principle, idiomotor response. So it's not moving because the person believes he's moving it. It's moving because subconsciously he's actually motivating it to move. So it's just signals coming through to the hand that's actually making it move. And there's several of these examples. I mean, these guys that show water with the rods, same idea, same principle.
Water diviners.
Water diviners, yeah. So they're not big fans of mine, and and I appreciate that. But yeah, the actual thing that you see happening can be explained.
Andre, I've seen your shows before. It's very entertaining, but there are also people who take hypnosis very, very seriously. And you mentioned therapists just now. have you ever thought about doing it as a therapy? And have you ever used it on people maybe who are your friends or family that have needed some kind of thing? Because I believe it can be tremendously beneficial to some people. It can help them. They sort out all kinds of emotional or psychological issues. How does that work, and how does it differ from what you're doing in the show?
Right. I'm one of these kind of moral high ground hypnotists. I don't mix my
molest
industry. No, not yet. So, might try and get a credit card every now and then, but
Okay, no, so you don't mind stealing, but you won't molest.
Not molest.
You draw the line.
Let's not cross the line. Let's not muddy the water. So what I do is I don't like confusing hypnotherapy and stage hypnosis. Hypnotherapy is very valuable. It's got a great place in the industry.
Right.
And for the right people, it does incredible stuff.
Is that past life regression stuff real?
You know what? Once again, from my side, I say no.
Okay.
But if you've got a person who believes that they were in a past life and the treatment is going to resolve the problem, then that is the treatment you're going to follow. So that's where the therapist comes in. You know, they're going to judge what works best for the person. I always say it's not Band-Aid therapy. It's not putting a plaster on a broken leg. You've got to normally do it with Prozac and a bit of antidepressant treatment, and you know, so it's a complete
so
program.
it has to be what they call comprehensive.
Comprehensive, yes.
Okay.
And most psychologists are brilliant at it.
All right, but thank God we're not talking about that shit this morning, because I mean I've had enough comedians sitting on that chair who believe me, they could benefit enormously from a bit of Prozac and some hypnotherapy. But we're talking about how you turn it into entertainment.
Yes.
By the way, there's a nice compliment here from Hermine. She says, Andre's awesome. I don't laugh often, but his shows are hilarious.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
And Bitcoin Butt says, jokes on us. Ben is already hypnotized.
Well, Kurt's wife claims that's why he can sing. So
she says he was hypnotized by you years ago. And he thinks he's a great singer. Jokes on him.
Yeah.
All right. Chris says Ben looks very uncomfortable, as if he's worried Andre is going to hypnotize him. Do some people get nervous about being hypnotized because they worry? Like people who don't want to, we were talking about people who drink or take mushrooms or whatever else.
Yeah.
They worried about how they might act once they're under the influence of a drug or alcohol, but they could also be worried about what they do under your influence. Because there are hypnotists who make people do stupid shit and then they're embarrassed.
Yes, and look, we all do kind of push those boundaries. I've got this TV show happening next year, and so we are pushing a little bit of boundaries. So
tell me about the TV show before we get onto that.
All right, so I've got a show on DSTV, basically hypnotizing people. It's actually a return of a show that was on in 2012 on CakeNet.
Okay,
so this is coming to Via TV.
Very good.
And basically, I go into the shopping center, hypnotize people, random people, and send them into the Pick and Pay and tell them to go wash their hair. And while the shoppers are busy, somebody goes and washes their hair. And so it's like questionable behavior. But once again, you got to say, what would that guy really have done? How comfortable is he? And obviously, the volunteers we get go through an entire screening process, because I'm not going to get those results just by randomly selecting somebody in the street, and so then you get those reactions. And so we've got this whole show, 13 episodes, starting 15th of Jan. And
excellent. And what channel is that on?
Via TV.
Okay, so that's on
not
DSTV.
Sure which one is DSTV via?
You'll find it.
Yeah.
People are not that stupid. Okay, so just to go back to what we were talking about before the TV show came up, these people who are hypnotized and the people who hypnotize them, are people likely to do things that they wouldn't do in normal day-to-day life if they're under hypnosis?
You know what? If you asked me this question 30 years ago, I would say, yeah, quite possible. What I managed to get right 30 years ago and what I can get right now are two separate distinctions altogether. You can't believe how things have changed. So you still have to ask the person that comes up on stage, how much is he willing to do? So my show is a safe show. I make sure that the volunteers are never placed in situations where they're going to feel really uncomfortable, out of control, anything like that. But I do push a little bit of the bracket. There's a little bit of gay comedy and a little bit of romance stuff. And, we kind of push here, there, and everywhere. And you get the reaction. But if the person felt uncomfortable, they would just not do it.
Yeah, I'm often confused about how much of it is pretend. You see these, you've got these mega churches and they kind of heal people, but you then find out that those people were in on it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And even talk shows where you have people having a fight and you find out afterwards they rehearsed the whole
scripted.
thing. WWE broke my heart all those years ago. What can I say when I found out they weren't really fighting? It was all pretend. It's not like that.
No, it's
It
not.
is a real thing.
It's a real phenomenon that happens, but it's not accepted in court because we can't measure it and say, oh, now you're hypnotized and you are now meeting the criteria. You can lie, so it is possible to lie while you're hypnotized, so we can't use it as a truth serum, and you can reject the suggestion at any time. So where it does become handy is, let's say you were involved in a crime and the police need an expert witness. Something has to be identified in the situation that took place. Then you can hypnotize somebody, take them back to that situation, and they could then tell you, X, Y, or Z happened, and you could have clarity, or it could solve a problem. It could identify a person, but it's not accepted in court at all.
So, Andre, if you were involved in the Senzo Mayue trial, you could have spoken to those people who might have actually had something going here.
We would have probably had it solved by now. Yeah. So it is. It's that stupid. There was a helicopter accident, and they investigated it. The pilot survived, but there were questions about why a certain switch was not on the plane, and he was hypnotized in a South African court case. Hypnotized prior to the court case, ran through the process, and the actual mistake was his. And under hypnosis, he identified that the switch was not switched on. And unfortunately for him, and the insurance on the other hand said, not our problem anymore. But so you can use it, but limited.
Is that something that you ever wanted to go into?
No, you know what? I started my career as an entertainer. I joined the circus for a while.
Listen, that's an amazing thing. The circus, it used to be
it used to be a circus.
No, the circus was. I love the idea of the circus. This was where, all the crazy people, the people who tamed lions, the people who could do trapeze. It was an ongoing talent show. And when you joined, it must have been in the last dying days of the circus.
It was.
That was where all the entertainment took place. Of course, now we got the internet, right?
Yes.
So any freak show you want, you can find on the internet. People with their tongue split in two, and people with, women with beards. It's not even, nobody even gives a second look to a woman with a beard these days. But back in the day, you had to go to the circus.
Gareth, when I toured Australia, and there was a guy called Jim Rose, and he had the Jim Rose Circus, which was a free circus.
Famous circus.
And we actually brought them to South Africa, and we had them here for 2 weeks, and you couldn't get a seat. We were selling out 1,000-seaters, at Wits, at University of Cape Town.
What were the most popular acts in that circus?
We had the one guy with horns growing out of his head.
Yes, freak shows.
Yes,
I love the freak shows.
It was completely freak shows. He was vacuum sealing ladies, two like really big ladies, vacuum sealing them in a big bag, and he had guys with with weights hanging on their private parts.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
freak shows.
Swallowing
Love
and then regurgitating stuff. And
being on that flight from Australia.
Swallowers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, words say they pushed a pipe in, and they would then pull it out with an injection, whatever was in, and then drink it again. And these guys were like, now they're normal, as you say. Now you see them on TikTok every morning.
But there's something special about it all being in a tent.
It was brilliant. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Being in a big tent with red and white, and everybody clapping and cheering. The chance of them being eaten by the lion is just that far away. Chance of the guy falling off the trapeze just that far away.
Yeah.
Chance of the guy with the horn actually, stabbing you to death by mistake, turning his head at a jaunty angle.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I was meant for the circus.
How fantastic.
I loved it. I still have a big passion for circus. As you say, things have changed a lot. We have a nice circus in South Africa,
now, right?
But there's still one kind of, there's McLaren's, they're going, and they're a really nice circus, really great people.
What do they do though? What is there to do with the circus now?
They still have animals, which obviously causes a lot of controversy.
Yeah.
And then they have great acts. They're actually coming to Sandton now. I'm kind of doing advertising for them. I'll
Go
send
on.
them a bill.
That's all right.
But it's like,
okay.
I've seen a circus tent on a school field.
Yes, that's right. They're
plays.
coming. Yeah, starting.
Yeah, okay.
I think they might have started already. So
do they
that's
still play the
Yes.
music?
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
Yeah. They
on the
much-
on the organ?
Yeah, no, no more organs.
Oh.
That's gone. Yeah, gone are the good old days. Because I juggled, and yes,
You
on
could
the
juggle
old
as well.
organ, I was the juggler.
And they played that song.
They did. They did. And we had
That's
the organ player and the drummer. You know, it's like going on and doing the whole show. Yeah. So that's kind of where it started. But yeah.
Carl says in the comments, what's the difference between you, Andre, and someone like Darren Brown? And then someone jumped in straight away and said, Andre's white. For starters. But I mean, that's kind of
great.
So Darren Brown, he's
white.
Who is he though? What does he
Darren
do?
Brown is the mentalist.
Oh, that's right.
He started off as a stage hypnotist. Really brilliant guy. Phenomenal. What he does, and so like what is different? Kind of Darren was a stage hypnotist, and he just didn't find it funny. But he's a brilliant performer. Really phenomenal. And so he went and took hypnosis and repackaged it. So at the BBC, you're not allowed to do hypnosis on TV. No inductions, no hypnotic processes.
It's in the rules.
Yes, it's written. If you look at the 10 banned rules of the BBC, it's there.
Right.
So he does the hypnosis show on TV without ever referring to hypnosis. As a matter of fact, he denounces hypnosis all the time and still hypnotizes everybody. I mean, he does a live induction. He puts on a television screen with somnambulism and all these messages.
Sleepwalking, hey.
Similar idea, yes. Similar idea.
Is there a link between hypnosis and sleepwalking?
Once again, if you kind of look at the brainwave, what happens with the brain, very similar interaction. All of them, meditation, all these kind of forms of therapy, they all have the same brain pattern.
And are you able to learn better under those conditions? Are you able to do anything that when you're in normal conscious awake mode you can't do?
You can definitely. Where you can't achieve something that you've not been able to achieve. So I can't say to you, oh, you're a fluent German speaker and off you go. But if you spoke German as a child, for instance, and you've now unlearned it, I could hypnotize you and say, when I snap my fingers, you're wide awake and you now speak German again. And it's there. Now, similarly with studies, that's kind of where I started with the schools. I used to perform at every school that they would have me. And part of the show would be study improvement. So, motivation for the exams. And I would hypnotize the people and tell them they'd study harder, more determination, more desire, more focus, believe in themselves, all that stuff. And I was a hit. I was a hit. The schools couldn't wait to use me.
And in South Africa, have you noticed any difference? Because you've been all over the world. Yeah. Are certain people more suggestible than others? And apart from that, the eyes or the hands that are moving when you suggest something, is there any other way of figuring out whether someone is more suggestible than someone else? And what are there patterns to that?
There are. People that are likely to be hypnotized will respond or volunteer much quicker. So if I say, I need volunteers, they're up on stage. We had a case last night because smaller audience last night, and I asked for volunteers and one lady just moved. I knew, okay, no problem.
Okay.
We've got a star already.
Is it because they want attention?
They subconsciously motivated to actually do it. It's like a calling card. They feel the drive to actually get up on stage and do it. So subconsciously they're motivated. And you even find that sometimes I'd be busy with the show and people would actually drop off in the audience. So highly susceptible. They're watching the show and they're absorbing it, and they actually, because you hypnotize yourself.
How do you know that? How do you know that they've in the audience?
The audience makes you aware of it. They're like, "Whoa, somebody's stuck.
My wife is gone.
Has gone," and it happens. Yeah.
Take her to the circus.
Yeah.
She's perfect.
I love those times. Like get them up.
Yeah, right.
Get them hypnotized. But yeah,
what's the most successful situation you've had? Where someone was so easily hypnotized that, I mean, you could have suggested anything, they probably would have done it. They didn't want to come out of the hypnosis. They were in it, hook, line, and sinker.
I mean, that's the fear factor. It's like, what if you don't wake up and those type of things. You do have that. We call them sleepers. Not a lot. Touch wood. I've only had one in my entire career in the army days with Kurt and them. And I hypnotized the guy and I said, when I snap my fingers, make love to the guy next to you. And he just gave this big grin and just plonked down. And that was it. He was out for a count. I couldn't get that guy awake. about an hour. I phoned Max Colley. I was like, Max, the guy's stuck.
What the hell am I going to do here?
Yeah, because now I'm thinking, Defense Force, I'm in big trouble.
What did he say?
Max said, what did I teach you? Leave the guy alone. He'll wake up by himself. And I was like, okay.
Oh, shit.
And I walked back to the room and I went, wake up. And he opened his eyes like, oh, is the show over? And I was like, yeah, go home.
Shame, man.
So it was a great learning curve, but there I learned, when
are stupid people more easily hypnotized than clever people?
No, intelligent people more hypnotizable than stupid people.
Really?
So yeah, I kind of use that as a defense in my show. But
you just say, I think you're saying that to be nice to stupid people. I think stupid people easily.
There are cities, Bloemfontein, much easier. As a matter of fact, I don't hypnotize people in Bloemfontein, I wake them up.
This is why he's a comedian as well. So very good.
So yeah.
Well, you said about if you'd learned German and then you unlearned it. Like, have you ever hypnotized a fighter or thought about hypnotizing a fighter? If you've just gone through an entire camp where you learned all these different things, sometimes a fighter doesn't perform because they're so anxious or they're so stressed. Like if you hypnotize someone to be the champion of the world,
you know what? You can take somebody who has either had the training or has the skill already, but has certain flaws, and then hypnotize them and under hypnosis retrain them. So correct those bad behaviors. 35 years ago, I was involved in that with the then police force people. They had some guys that they were training in various sports activities, and we would hypnotize them and show them videos of where they were making errors, and then kind of reprogram until we could override those errors.
Amazing.
So yeah, totally possible. But once again, the person has to believe in it. He must be willing to do it, and then you can build on that. And
we got to find someone as an experiment. I think we go to the EFC and go, right, you're a decent enough fighter, but something's holding you back mentally.
I've heard stories though of sports stars who, they have a psychologist in tow when they go on.
Hugely, especially in a place like golf.
They have to get their heads right more than they have to get their body and their actual physical training right. And it wouldn't be too much of a leap for me to imagine that some of the big sports stars in the world have also used hypnotherapy.
To
get themselves in the zone, to be completely focused, to help remember stuff that they may have forgotten from their training.
Absolutely.
Have you ever been approached to do that?
I haven't myself. Once again, because I'm more on a stage platform,
they think you're going to treat them as a joke.
And and South Africans, we're a little bit shy. You know the South African celeb market. Overseas, big market. There's a gentleman called Paul McKenna who, he was very popular in the 90s. Still, paulmckenna.com. Go there if you want therapy. Brilliant. He still produces the best therapeutic stuff in hypnosis. Also, stage hypnotist, and became the hypnotist of the stars. Lived in Hollywood, hypnotized half of them. He was their personal hypnotist. So very much so. Very much. Fruit.
Tracy says here, a friend of mine stopped biting her nails after going to a Max Colley show. He told her from then onwards, when the intent was to bite her nails, it would smell like dog shit, and apparently worked for years. So you could say to someone, this is going to smell like dog shit, and they'll stop biting their nails.
You tell them it tastes like shit. Don't look at mine, but
and they would keep doing that even when they're not around you.
Yes. When you wake them up, post-hypnotic suggestion. So the actual suggestion still has effect, even though the hypnotist is no longer there.
Wow. How far can you take that?
You know what? The duration is limited to the person's own willingness. So if the person really wanted to stop biting their nails, it will just work from then onwards. If a person wants to stop smoking, I always tell the story. I was in Namibia. A guy came to me, a reporter, wanted to be hypnotized to stop smoking. It was my last day. I was tired of Namibia. I wanted to go home. I opened the door and he was there, and I pretended I wasn't there, but he came up to the room. I opened the door and I said, "Oh, how are you?" I said, "You wanted to stop smoking? Sleep. You'll never smoke again. Wake up." And I sent him home. A year later, he did an interview with me about how successful the treatment was.
And you were better than all those nicotine badges.
I never did anything.
And you just wanted him to get away from your room.
I didn't do an induction. I said to him, "Close your eyes, sleep. You'll never smoke again. Go home."
And it worked.
And he never touched a cigarette again.
Wow. Jared says here in the comments, I remember Andre saying once at a show, think of a square, a block, or a circle.
Yeah.
If you pick a circle, there's a big chance that you could be hypnotized.
Yes, you're more susceptible, but you're following more of the thought pattern. So I actually forgot about that, Gareth. Thanks for reminding me.
Well, Jared,
yeah, that's brilliant. So what happens is most people would either think of most people would think of a circle. So we meet the standard criteria. Those that think of a square are normally more intelligent, triangle more creative, and then circle, you run of the mill. You pretty much fit that little box.
Oh, is that what you were thinking of?
Well, for me, circle means flow because it's like it can roll, a ball, there's movement. Square means stop.
So
like the block in my mind.
Next time we have you hypnotized.
So Andre, again, I'm going to ask you a sports question. Like, I have the ability to hit a perfect golf shot. I've got all the shots in the bag, but because I'm an amateur and I'm not practiced, I can't string them together over a 5-hour period to have the perfect round. So, we're talking that there's like, we got a potential here to make me a good golfer.
You can. I don't want to. I don't want to upsell hypnosis. I mean, this is my career, and I make fools out of people.
If it goes well, I'll cut you in.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Or he could make your golf club smell like shit to you. And you'll never want to.
No, if he makes the rough smell like shit, I won't go in the rough.
Right.
So yeah, you can. It takes investigation. It takes a bit of adjusting and training, but you definitely can. Yeah, you can benefit. And if you're highly hypnotizable, even more so because you can correct behaviors completely. It definitely is a great route to making changes in your personal life.
David says, my hand is still stuck on a pillar at Monte Casino since the last show that
would
did.
be me.
That's hilarious. Do people come up to you, and I suppose someone even said in the comments that the first sort of line, the first sorting that happens is the people who want to come to a show like this. They want to see other people being hypnotized. They're curious about it. They're fascinated by it, maybe, and maybe they think that their turn will come.
Yes.
So that's partly the reason they come to the show.
There is an attraction. Once again, those people are more likely to come to the show. Obviously, the show does cater. It's a comedy show. It's a hypnosis show. It's an entertainment show. So the people that come through, and also because of my reputation, so I get a lot of people. But you still do get a certain amount of people that would read an ad. And I think I was probably susceptible to that. When I first saw Max Colley's ad, I was like, oh, I need to be there.
Yeah.
And they would come through and they would volunteer. So I see that more in the TV show. We publicized it and go to skaterlag.co.za and put in your name. And you can't believe how those people
they want to come.
They show up. Yeah.
Andre, what drew you to learning how to hypnotize people? What got you interested in that? It's not like a career path that most people think.
Yeah.
And who was the first person you hypnotized?
Good question. Actually, I was doing guard duty in the army, and I hypnotized some poor guard guy and told him he's suntanning on the beach, and he took off his shirt. It was freezing cold, and I was like, "Oh hell, this is working!" And I said, "Wake up!" And he woke up obviously without his shirt, and he was very offended. Yeah, very offended. So that was my first learning experience. I actually I was involved in the theater industry all my life. So from the age of 4, I did my first TV ads, then cinema ads.
Wow, at age 4?
At 4, I was driving the little scooter around the toy shops.
So you were a child star.
I was a child star. I was for James Bond movies, before the James Bond on Stir Kinnico.
Right, they were very good.
Big movies.
That's famous in South African terms.
I mean, that was those days. I don't even know if TV existed. And so drama was it, and then the juggling. My desire was circus, but I always knew I had to find something that suits my personality, and I thought TV theater, that was where I was going to go with it. But then when I saw I saw the article for Max Colley in the Star, and I was like, I need to see this guy. And the minute I saw it, that was instantly, this is my career.
Yeah, there have been a few people who've brought him up in the comments as well.
Okay,
he must have been quite a guy.
An amazing hypnotist, amazing. People that want to see it can go to YouTube. I uploaded the only videos still available of him performing, wow. so you can see him in action. As I say, people today would say, "Oh, this guy's not ethical." But this guy, because I was saying to friends the other day, he used to say, "When I snap my fingers, you're having a shower. What's in between the legs and everywhere?" And I mean, that was pretty damn funny comedy in the 1970s. But now, You're not going to
You
get away
can't
with
do
it.
that. People call you a creep and a pervert.
yeah,
They'll chase you out of the theater. They'll hound you out.
They would, yeah. I mean,
so here are a couple of questions. Andile wants to know, would this work for drug addicts?
Once again, if they really want to change, then it's going to work. But once it needs to be in a therapeutic situation where the therapist is probably prescribing other medication to help treat the problem. And, you know, that there's all these extra therapies available, because a drug addict, it's more complex than just hypnosis. Something like smoking, weight loss, nail biting, more simplistic. You can go, well, you know, you're not going to smoke anymore. You're not going to build up stress. And the person should benefit from that. But obviously with drugs, depression, there's a little bit more underlying problem.
And Dirk wants to know, have you ever hypnotized anyone for personal gain? How do you not misuse a gift or a talent like this, or a skill? Because it's not just
like if you get pulled over for a speeding ticket or whatever.
Do you try? Like Obi-Wan. These are not the droids you're looking for, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm going to give the boring answers. And I was doing an interview for a magazine, famous magazine, the other day, and the guy said, "Do you actually have a social life?" Like,
I'm just amazed that there are still famous magazines.
Oh well, yeah, it's probably the only magazine. Well, I mean, you've probably been exposed on it several times, and
sure.
Can I mention I know it?
So what?
But yeah, so he was like, because they said, "Do you ever have? You know, do you?" Because I go home, I don't. I have a life outside of this. I love
you don't
my
spend your
stage
life
show.
as you're not a Jedi.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't like going onto the street and being a hypnotist. So when I go home now, I'm Andre, and don't confuse me with the hypnotist. I'm the hypnotist tonight. And even when I ended up on these cruise ships with Kurt the whole year this year, I did cruise ships with that man. Then I would stay in the cabin.
Yeah, because otherwise people are going to say to you, "Oh, you're hypnotized.
Can you hypnotize
What about
me?"
Gert? He looks like he'll be fucking funny. Huh? Gert's a total puss, and you know he's not going to be entertaining at all.
The entire time. And I appreciate that the audiences are like that. And I appreciate people. But obviously, I have to divorce.
I don't appreciate
you're being honest.
Please, man.
I just say Mr. Antisocial. I just stick it in the cabin.
Okay. You don't have anything to do with hypnosis when you're not doing the shows.
I'm a performer. I love my job. I really enjoy performing.
Because it can, I suppose, to those of us who feel like we don't have this skill.
Yeah.
We think it's something that we would love to deploy.
Yeah.
In normal day-to-day life.
Yeah. I'm going to admit that I probably was motivated by the same thoughts when I started.
And then what happened? Did you realize that that's not moral or ethical, or that it actually doesn't work in real life because you're not in a situation where people are mentally tuned in to doing that stuff?
You know what? I mean, deep down, we all have this little fantasy of the hypno coin in the comic. You know, it's like if we had one of those. But then in reality, you've got certain responsibilities. You do embrace a certain career. I love my career. So I'm not motivated, and that's not an arena I wish to tread in, you know? So it's never crossed my mind. I don't want to be a therapist. I would hate to do that.
What about drunk people? Are they easier to hypnotize than sober people?
No. As a matter of fact, less hypnotizable because their thought process is all over the place. And you need to concentrate and focus and follow my instructions. Otherwise, I'm not getting a reaction.
So based on what you've just said now, that the more focused and able to concentrate you are, the better you would be at being hypnotized.
Yeah.
That would mean that a lot of people who have ADHD or who have a mind that's hopping from one thing to the next, those are probably the least likely to be hypnotizable.
Much more difficult. Oddly enough, not impossible. I had a learning disability school in Durban come to my show with ADHD people, and they
must be a terrible show.
I thought it was going to be a horror, and they were amazing volunteers.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, how does this work? But yeah, short attention spans, not as successful. You obviously adjust the hypnosis induction to meet their requirements. So you're not going to go through the long winding process of your eyes getting heavy.
Any difference between women and men?
1990s, men. The ladies used to come to watch the men. That was my show. I had 15, 20 men on stage. Now, woman.
Okay, so now it's more women.
Night. Yeah, woman. Just I literally 5, 6 ladies, maybe 2 guys. It's amazing.
Wow. I think this is phenomenal. Have you ever tried to hypnotize an animal?
you can induce the same state. And there were guys in America who, for quite a few years, did the animal hypnosis thing. So the dove, turn the dove upside down, tip his head back, and he'll stay in that position.
But doves are so stupid. I mean, it wouldn't even have to be.
The animals they hypnotize are fake. The chicken, allegedly a rhino. They tried to they tried to get me to do that.
A rhino?
Yes. That was luckily.
If it goes wrong, it could be very.
They thought it would be a good idea. Yeah, they thought that what we do for a TV shoot is we would, actually go and hypnotize a rhino.
Sure.
And they had me fully committed to the whole process. So not doing it, but yeah.
Amazing.
Good old days.
All right, so give us an idea of upcoming shows because it's
Monte
plug
Casino
time.
Yeah, Monte Casino right up until the 2nd of Feb. Before I hit the rest of the country again, best place to go is hilarioushypnotist.co.za. Always kind of list there, or
Amazing.
Web tickets, But yeah, I'm on the road. I'm back on the road again from Feb, but right now Monte Casino every night. So
and Duds wants to know in the comments: are you coming out to Australia again anytime soon?
No, you know what? Sadly.
No, not sadly. You don't want to go to Australia.
No, it's like, okay, yay. No.
Don't give a whole explanation to him. He's one person.
No, well, he wants to live in Australia. You know what? I am home.
You're right. They write about you. You're hilarious. Well, he wants to live in Australia.
Yeah, let him just live there. The last time you and I spoke, I was on my way to England.
That's right.
Scary, yeah. You're all serious. And I went there and I realized, you know what? I'm a South African. I can't do this. I packed my bags. 2 years later, I came back. And it was great. I had a great career there.
You moved over there.
I immigrated.
Because you weren't just going over there to do shows.
No.
Right.
The pandemic was happening and we couldn't do shows here. And I had to do something. And I went there. And the whole idea was, now I'm going to be a big stage hypnotist in England. Oh, you know what? I just couldn't deal with those people.
Are the people very, very different to us and awful? Or
absolutely.
Are they dreadful?
They're dreadful. They volunteer. They
try and knife you while you're busy hypnotizing them.
Yeah, they do.
Oi, give us your money.
Yeah. They're totally different. I mean, goodness gracious, how many people are listening to the show now?
I just wish that you'd woken Keir Starmer up before he became president, prime minister, because it would have helped the English a little bit, I think.
Yeah, they've probably kept me there a few months longer. But I was like,
people there.
Come back to South
Africa. Of people there you could have woken up for us.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Send me the list. We've got a few in South Africa that I'd like to work with.
There are probably a few people in Parliament. There were lots of comments about that.
Okay.
Either can you make them stop smelling of shit, or can
every
you wake
time
them
you
up?
steal, you stealing. You smell like shit.
Imagine if you could insinuate to somebody that if they stole stuff, they would start stinking.
Yeah.
Or lose their hair.
Yeah.
Oh. That would be a terrific. You'd be doing that would turn you into an instant philanthropist. Then you'd be Andre the Hilarious Philanthropist.
I would have a job for the next 35 years.
For the rest of your life.
Oh, of course.
And for the rest of ours.
This country.
And then I did want to ask you this: if people have really shitty ideas that they've come up with, like for example, communism, or just nonstop eating. Can you talk them out of that? Can you hypnotize them out of that?
It's kind of they need to want to change.
Yeah.
So
no, for communists.
No, because it's like a flat earther.
Yeah. Help those people.
Yeah.
Well, they become so defined by this stupid ideologies and things.
They do.
So they put walls up internally.
It's very hard to kind of change that mindset. But if they want to change, so like a weight loss person, you can bring about that change.
But they don't really. They like the chips.
Well, I weighed 174 kilograms.
Jesus, when was that?
Probably 2000, 2005. My biggest years. We knew each other, but
literally your biggest years. But I must have ignored you completely.
Yeah, I was hard to miss. But it's like I used to fill theaters just on my own. It's like I was a massive guy.
You could sit around the table all by yourself.
Absolutely on my own.
That's phenomenal. So how did you lose the weight? Hypnosis?
Hypnosis, using a combination of self-hypnosis and corrective eating with a dietitian. But yeah, we used hypnosis, and it can be very beneficial, but you must want to change. Otherwise, the results will be
isn't that true even for people who are not hypnotized?
Yeah.
Like, you've got to want to change. And a lot of people are very, very comfortable being ordinary or being undisciplined or being lazy.
Yeah.
So why would they want to change?
Guys, that brings you back to kind of where I was with the earlier thing about don't I abuse hypnosis. I'm very comfortable at home on my own, and I love being on stage in that controlled environment. So yeah, so as you say, why would you want to change? So kind of stick to what you know and love. Yeah.
I think it's awesome, and keep doing the good shows.
Fantastic,
Lots of people in here who are saying that they love your shows. There's also people. Can you make Panyaza Lesufi smell less like shit? That's very mean, Bebop
Nasty.
Williams. Very, very mean. Because we all know that he is too stupid to be hypnotized. Please hypnotize Gareth to change his mind about not wanting to get married, says Judas. Well, it's not a set in stone thing. I just haven't met anyone I wanted to marry.
Makes two of us.
Yeah. And you forget Bloemfontein, though. I think that is something that you've left us with. Bloemfontein.
They're gonna hate me. I normally do so well there, so it's kind of weird.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
You fucked it now. They're not going to want you back in Bloemfontein. Bloemfontein's people are what did you say? They were easily hypnotizable.
Easily hypnotizable, yeah.
As opposed to
highly
the rest
susceptible
of the
to suggestion.
There we go. Very good.
The fact is kind of like an off tail. I was arrested in Bloem for doing hypnosis shows.
What?
Yeah, they passed a law. The then medical board, now 1990s, were very opposed to me, and they passed a law. They made an amendment to the law to make me illegal. And
they
so
arrested you.
They arrested me in Bloemfontein, and so it went to the High Court, and the police agreed that they would let me perform, but only under guard. A police guard every night. No. And we had 4 policemen in the show every night for 2 weeks in Bloemfontein.
That's incredible.
While the matter was heard in court. So obviously, what was amazing was the amount of stuff that was stolen out of the cars outside while I was under lock and key. And I won the case. I mean, it was, there wasn't a case to answer for, but I won it. But and then they all kind of, the whole police force came to watch my show, because by then they had now become such big fans of the show. Yeah, we had a full audience, and Bloemfontein.
Oh, there we go.
That's where it happens.
Again, you got to keep Bloemfontein in your thoughts.
I love it.
All right, listen, thank you very, very much. It's lovely to see you, and I appreciate what you do. And I'm glad that you make South Africans laugh at ourselves, because we've got lots to laugh at.
We do.
Have an awesome long weekend, everybody. We will be back on Wednesday at 6 a.m. in the morning. Unless Andre puts me under hypnosis and I forget about all of this, in which case we might not come back at all. All right. Have a good long weekend. Ciao.